Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Friday, December 9th, and today we had a nice turnaround in the market, and we were looking at potential support level, and we were talking about in last night's video how basically yesterday the lows, the market has an opportunity to hold those lows, and if tomorrow, meaning today, those lows were held, and we could turn around and push and have a decent close, that it would just signal that the market's in a range and everything's it's not like a sell-off is going to occur. Rather, we're at the bottom of a range. So today we got exactly what buyers were looking for, and what I mean by that is, if I zoom in, yesterday, let's go back to Wednesday. We finished near the highs, if you remember, and the following day, Thursday, we gapped lower at Wednesday's point of control and immediately, started making lower lows and lower highs throughout the day. The point of control ended up forming at the bottom end of the range, which would have been, it would have been bullish, but we continued lower to the end of the day. So, we wake up to this morning, market opens, and it's sitting right at yesterday's point of control, and sure enough, we had a nice bounce off of those levels, and the market rallied higher all day. The point of control for the day ended up forming at the top end of the range, and we finished strong. We finished on the highs of the day. So, this was a complete reversal and complete rejections. It was probably, obviously there was some buying into the market, but there was probably most of that, or some of that, was probably short covering from people expecting to see more downside from yesterday, and we didn't get that, so they were forced to cover because they didn't want to go short into the weekend. One other thing to notice is, if I zoom out, when the market opened, that point of control from yesterday was the same point of control for November, and this level really, it was a great trading opportunity today, and it was great because you could manage your risk and put a stop either below the day's lows, today's intraday low, which ended up, we opened up and practically traded higher straight from there, or right below to Thursday, yesterday's intraday low. So it was a good opportunity, and now where we stand in the market is we're creeping on December's point of control. We closed right there, and really, if you look at this market, we are just in one decent sized balance range, about 3% worth of S&P points, 3% of movement, 36 or so, points in the S&P, and we're really at the top end of the range. So we've talked about how this is consolidation within, we were uptrending and now we're consolidating on this specific time frame. If we look at a bigger time frame, which I'm just going to pull up really quick and zoom out really quick, you can see that, if I, ignore all the lines, we were uptrend beginning of the year, sideways movement, downtrend, consolidation, uptrend, basically a pullback of the consolidation range that lasted 2 months or so, and now we got our uptrend, and now we're in sideways consolidation. But within all this, and I'm actually going to remove all the lines, so bear with me. This is, if we really look at it, how it should be looked at is you have this was your trading range, and then this was your trading range, and then you have this awkward price movement that was smack in the middle, a higher low I should say, and now a continuation. So you could really consider this your new price, your new range, or you can consider this a higher low, this right here, a higher low relative to these lows made back, in the consolidation range, and this is basically the start of a new move higher. So we have, basically what I'm saying is, we have our sideways consolidation, a breakout, a test of the breakout, and now, we're looking for a retest of basically 1300 and above. And if I move over, you can see the high volume area at 1305 and and above, up to 1337 or so. And so maybe you consider this, just a pause, this little pattern right here, and you're waiting for more upside. That may be the case, and we'll know that basically if the market can push higher. And if you want to be a part of that move, the only way you can is to manage your risk, and I would start with keeping a stop under today or yesterday's intraday low. Okay, back to the hourly chart on the Dow, and the Dow is really just bouncing off November's high volume area, point of control area, great bounce, and it was from it looks like the day prior to the last day of November, the gap higher that we saw, we're holding it now, and just like the S&P, the Dow finished right by its point of control and basically at the top end of the range. The Nasdaq looks a little bit different, and let me get rid of that box, and it pierced through November's point of control yesterday, but it held the gap from last week or so. But the Nasdaq, let's just say something about the Nasdaq. We have huge high volume going out over 3 months' time, right? Basically, we closed right above those levels today. And one thing to be aware of is the possibilities of this consolidation range from 23.45 on the upside, 22.75 on the downside. This may just be a higher base, a period of consolidation, and then the Nasdaq could really test back up to 2400 and ultimately break out to new highs, because let's face it, as I bring up the Nasdaq 100, we're not far from the highs of the year there. So it's a possibility. It's something that we're looking for since the pullback in the market that we saw back late November, I believe, right here in this range. I was discussing my reason to be bullish the market and a possibility for a real run at the S&P 1300 to 1330 range. Basically, Nasdaq, the highs for the year, the Dow maybe making new highs for the year, and that's all based off of volume profile. So the overall indexes, they look constructive. Today's price action was positive, and one other thing to note was the VIX. It had a nice move yesterday, holding the point of control and continuing higher. Well, today opened lower and just got crushed, down over 13% on the day. Maybe that's our indication that there's less to fear in this market than one may think. And I just think it makes sense to manage your risk. There are some trading ideas that we're going to go over in the next video. So be opportunistic, but be a risk manager. So stay tuned for video 2.